Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Tricky World. So in today's video we will be looking at one very important aspect of Power BI, which is creating measures. So we will start from very scratch. What are measures? How we calculate measures? What are the usage of measures, and how we can perform complex calculation in measures? So let's get started. On the screen we have Power BI application open. I have already imported one data. As we can see on the screen, there is a table report and there are 6 columns in the report. So here we have one option for measure. If we talk about what are measures are nothing. They are specifically designed for summarizing the values like we do in pivot tables. So I will give you one example. Here we have, let's say, one column units, so that is the entire column. So I can create here one measure, new measure, and I will sum up all the values of column. So I will, let's say, total value is equal to, I will put sum and reports units. So this simple function I have written up here, which is summing up all the units of report. Let me make an enter. Here we can see there is a field which has populated with the name of total value. So now the sum of entire column, whatever value would be there, that value is assigned to this measure. So this column, if we say this column is equal to this column, this particular measure, that would be a correct statement to some extent. So now if I further extend this, let me add a table here. In table I have put region in rows. Now I will add both the parameters, that particular column which is a unit and that measure which I have created, total value. You will see results are same as per expectation in both the scenarios, whether we are using up column values or whether we are using this measure. So if I go back to the database, it would be a correct statement that this column is equal to this measure. If we talk about backend, the memory getting consumed by this column is far high if we compare with the measure. Measure is just a small calculated field, and this is entire column. Let's suppose there are million of rows in your data set. So this was a very simple example of creating measure. There are further complex examples. For example, here there are a number of units and unit cost per unit, cost per unit cost. So now normally what we would have done, in order to calculate total value, we would have created a column which we would have multiplied units by unit cost. Now again, if we will create a calculated column, there will be million of records which will get generated for that specific column, and there will be some performance issues might be there. Now instead of creating one calculated column, we can create a measure here again. So measures we use specifically for values only. So here we have a text, strings, date function. We can use for them as well, but that would not be relevant. Measures are specifically designed for values, wherever we have values in the column. So I will put here, let's say, total value 2. I will first put sum of units and I will multiply this by sum of unit cost. So now there is another measure which is created. If I go back and I drag the second measure, your total value 2, I will put unit cost as well. So first value we have unit cost, second value we have total value, which was the first measure we had created, which was the same like the column, and third value is multiplying basically both the values together. So that is the second step of learning measure, how we can calculate measures. Now if we talk about more complex examples, so there are one very powerful function which we use when we perform complex calculations, and that function is calculate. So for example, if I take an example here, I want to calculate the sum of unit, which is a total value, sum of unit for specifically Central Africa. So I will create here, I will try to create, I will use here calculate function. So I will put here calculate measure is equal to, I will start with the calculate function, expression I will put sum of units, it's the same as we had done earlier, comma, if you will see it's a filter. So filter, we can say there is a column region, I will put here, it will automatically come region, it should be equal to Central Africa only, and I will close the bracket, I will make an enter. Now if I will drag this now here, see 357, which is the sum of units for Central Africa, that value is getting again replicated for other regions as well. So specifically we are calculating this for Central Africa, as we have put here filter. Now why this particular value is getting shown in other regions as well, because we do not have filter context here. If we want to apply filter context, what we can do, instead of writing down, we can put here function filter, table we have only one table, report, and filter expression again, region should be equal to Central Africa. So here we have given that filter context, I will make an enter, and now we have value only for Central Africa, rest of the values have gone. So this is how we can manipulate the values, and we can calculate the measure, and we can calculate complex calculations by creating measures instead of calculating entire columns. So this is all for today's video. Keep watching Tricky World. Thank you.